Hello, everyone. Welcome to American Family Insurance DreamBank, where we believe in the transformative power of dreams. I'm Monica. She and her are my pronouns. If you visited us or tuned in virtually before, welcome back. And for those that are joining us for the first time, I'd love to take a moment to introduce you to DreamBank. Here at American Family Insurance, we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. That's why we created DreamBank. This is an inspirational community destination and digital experience dedicated to dreamers everywhere. From our daily event series to immersive signature programs, there's something for every dreamer. Everything that we do is designed to help you celebrate the dream journey, overcome obstacles, and stay motivated. As part of that work, we've partnered with the American Family Insurance Dreams Foundation and their community partner, the Live Garage. The Live Garage is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit organization that provides affordable auto repair services for low-income individuals. My colleague, Noah Salata, had a chance to visit them in Minneapolis, and we're excited to share their story with you. Noah, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of American Family Insurance DreamBank Impact for Good series. I'm Noah Salata, a Community and Social Impact Advisor with the American Family Insurance Dreams Foundation. American Family Insurance believes in brighter and stronger communities, and that's what started the Dreams Foundation for our ability to help amplify the impact of our employees, agency owners, and policyholders. I'm here in Minneapolis, Minnesota to celebrate time with the Lift Garage. Our conversation today is twofold. One, learn more about the important work of the Lift Garage, but to also celebrate their 10-year anniversary of changing lives here in the Twin Cities. I'm joined by founding executive director and my dear friend, Kathy Hine. Kathy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. No, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. So, Kathy, 10 years for any organization is quite a feat, especially for a nonprofit. But we know that this didn't start back in 2013 with the first vehicle. It actually goes all the way back to 2006.
That's correct.
Can you share a little bit about the origin story of the Lift and how that came about?
Sure. I have a bit of an unusual background for being in car repair. I have a bachelor's degree in social work and a master's degree in pastoral ministry. And then I went on to get my associate's degree in auto technology. And what got me from point B to C was I was working at a church in South Minneapolis that also ran a shelter for single adult men experiencing homelessness, a lot of other outreach programs, and the neighborhood was such that there was just a lot of need just out on the streets every day. And so a couple of things were happening in that time. One, people were showing up at the church door asking for money, and staff, which I was on staff would take turns answering those calls. And a lot of times I was finding that the request was something like, can the church give me $300 to pay this car repair bill? I work second shift out in one of the distant suburbs, but I live in Minneapolis and there's no bus that runs at 11 o'clock at night when I get off. And if I can't get this car fixed, I'm not going to be able to get to work. I'm going to lose my job, and then my family and I are going to end up on the streets. Similar, I found that a lot of the guys staying at the shelter were either trying to get jobs, and those jobs were out in the out in the suburbs. And so they were getting up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning to take 3 or 4 buses to get to a job that started at 6 a.m. And then they would do the same in reverse and then get home at night and be completely exhausted and sleeping in a communal room with 40 other people. That was not a sustainable way to be, much less be successful. And I also found that some of the guys still had cars that they had from wherever their life was beforehand. And So I had regular knocks on my office door asking for tools or asking for help pushing their car around the corner because the battery was dead or the like. And I had a conversation with one of those guys who had a car, and there was a program that was offering discounted repair, but it was still a high rate, and I think it was $75 an hour, which was lower than the average rate, but he was making $203 a month on general assistance.
Wow.
And for him, as he told me, that might as well be $1 million. And so I just kept thinking about those scenarios and was sort of surprised that we didn't have, a very low cost, affordable car repair for low income folks. Minnesota is a very generous state. It is often joked that we are the land of 10,000 nonprofits. And so I just kept thinking about why didn't we have this, and why hadn't somebody done this before, and somebody should do this, and really it was a great idea, somebody should do this, and I have a brilliant idea and somebody should do this. And it took me a while to reconcile that perhaps it was something I was being called to do. It was an idea that I fought pretty hard because I was still paying off my grad school student loans, and I had a job that I loved, and quite frankly I knew nothing about cars, and
Yeah.
wasn't particularly interested in them other than I wanted mine to start when I got in it in the morning, just like the rest of us. But I couldn't stop thinking of it. And so I made a pro and con list about why would I do this? Why should I do this? The social good, of course, but like personally, why should I, Kathy Hine, do this? And literally there was nothing in the pro list. There was no good reason why I should do this. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And when that became clear, it felt like, okay, this is something I need to look into.
Yeah.
So I enrolled at Dunwoody, which is a tech school here in the Twin Cities. I was 38 years old, and I walked into a classroom full of 40 18-year-old boys.
Wow.
I could fill hours telling stories of that experience. And kind of pushed my way through 2 years full-time of automotive school with this vision of something. It didn't, in my mind, it did not look like what the lift looks like today, or I honestly thought it might just be me fixing cars in my driveway.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to get through school. So graduated, and then in 2010, and so then it was so what now? And I was still working full-time in social services, which I did all through school as well. And so then I just started having cups of coffee with people. I put a list on, again, a yellow pad of the types of people that I thought I should talk to. Like, I probably should talk to a lawyer. I should probably talk to, somebody who works in fundraising, somebody who runs a shop, somebody who, like that. And then I filled in on this side people that I knew, like, oh, I know so-and-so, they're a lawyer, I'll start with them.
Yeah.
So I had a few slots filled in, and so I started taking folks out to coffee and saying, I got this degree, I see this need, what should I do with it? What's feasible? What do you think? What insight do you have for me? And then you see all these blank spots. Who do you know who is, and can you connect me? And so I just kept having cups of coffee until that list was full. And by the end of all that, a year and a half later maybe, what is now the Lift Garage was starting to take shape. So I moved forward with putting a small board of directors together. Mostly, I think, like all nonprofits in their beginning, the whole thing is made up of friends and family who can't say no. And so put a small board of directors together, and that started the process of getting our 501c3 status with the IRS, and had that by 2012, and by 2013 we had the door open.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned this year, going back and getting your associate's degree in auto repair technology. That's a shift in skill set. Did you find that there's other things that you had to learn in that time frame to really be successful to get the lift up and running?
Yeah, it's a great question. So many things. I mean, the list of things I did not know how to do is rather astounding. I mean, I'd worked in nonprofits my whole life, but I didn't know anything about fundraising. I did not know how to read a balance sheet or create a budget. I didn't know, of course, how to write an estimate or how to, get parts accounts. I mean, all of it was just sort of learning by doing. But also, not to get too personal, but it's like I did a lot of inner work in it. My therapist through all of this, and you can probably edit this out if you need to. My therapist through all of this just kept saying, I don't know who you are in this, because in my personal life, like I have to have all the data in the world before I feel comfortable making a decision, and there's still never enough data for me to be like, this is the right thing. And so to move into something like this where it's just like, I don't know, let's do it. Let's try this. Let's move to that. I mean, there was a courage that I had to find that I didn't know existed in me, and to keep going despite not knowing exactly what was going to happen when I walked through the next door. There was a lot of personal growth in that, as well as all of the extensive external knowledge that I needed to gather.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And it's fair to say there was not really a model for a low-income auto repair shop out there for you to follow when you started this work.
No, that's true. It has been an unusual model, and people keep wanting to try to fit it into one mold or another, and it's neither of those things, and
so much more.
Yeah, exactly. And I often joke that we are social workers and resource specialists and grief counselors and financial counselors, and then we fix cars on the side, because it's so much a mix of all of those things.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Just always such a powerful story. We're gonna hear and see more about what the shop is like today. But for most of us who weren't here 10 years ago, can you paint a little bit of a picture of what was day one like? What did that lift garage look like?
It's so fun to think about, and sort of amazing. So I remember spending the night before, so we were open on a Saturday. So that Friday night, I was driving around because hospitality was a high value of mine. And so driving around to all different thrift stores and other things to find just the right table to set the coffee pot on, to make sure we had just the right cups that felt welcoming and inviting, because so often in social services it feels like the need is so great that people just sort of get pushed through to get to the next. And I just very much wanted to create a space that was not that it's like, stay as long as you want, have 12 cups of coffee if you want. And so I spent a lot of time that night before just sort of getting that all right. On April 13th of 2013, we had exactly one car that we fixed, a woman named Jennifer who needed to get brake work done. She was bringing her young son to chemotherapy treatments, and she needed her car to be safe and reliable. And so there was a lot of excitement in the air that day because we were all so excited to finally be open. So the poor woman was totally overwhelmed because there's all sorts of people there with balloons and cameras, and people are bringing pastries by, and she's just like, what's going on? So the first day was very festive, but it's like we were using one repair bay as office space and waiting room space. So you walked in the door and you're walking into a repair bay, but there was some old kind of ratty carpet down, some desks, and a big kind of oval table, and then a couple of other chairs, coffee pot and tea and the like. And then the next bay over, we were repairing cars, and we just had these little half-wall dividers between the two, so it's like I could stand right here and see the car being fixed, and which was charming in some ways, but mostly noisy and a lot of other things, but it was just sort of all right there. And so we were using some volunteers, and we did that for about the first 7 or 8 months. We were open, only open on Saturdays, and then in January of 2014 is when we hired our first tech and opened a few more days a week.
Oh,
So.
wow. Kathy, I have heard this story, multiple times, and it still continues to amaze me. And I could probably keep you here all day talking about this, learning about this. But I think we're both equally excited to hear more about what the lift has done in the last 10 years, what it has grown from in that, single bay work to what it is today, a really staple of this community. Yeah. So I just want to say how much I appreciate your time and sharing more about this. And after this, you'll actually be meeting me out in the garage to talk with Nate Carr about the current shop operation. Welcome. I'm out here in the shop with Shop Operations Director Nate Carr to learn a little bit more about the Lift Garage 10 years later. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you.
Nate, can you start by telling us a little bit about what are the techs working with in a shop?
Yeah, definitely. So, the lift started as a small one-bay shop 10 years ago now, but now we've grown into a 5-bay shop here. We have our alignment rack behind us here, and then 4 other conventional hoists that the technicians are working on different vehicles here with several different repairs going on here at the moment.
So, even being a nonprofit, you still are a fully operating shop here.
Yeah, we have all the tools that a normal shop would have: tire machine, tire balancer, scan tools, press. So we can do just about anything a conventional shop can do here.
Awesome. What are some of the most common repairs you have for your customers?
Yeah, so the most common repairs that we see is we are always trying to do kind of safety repairs first here, and so we do a lot of safety repairs in regards to like tires, brakes, suspension work, major fluid leaks here for us. So those are going to be the most common repairs here that we do. We also deal with some exhaust and kind of squeaks and rattles and some other repairs here as kind of customer autonomy here for us. So
yeah, excellent. Now I know safety is really, really important to you all here at the Lift, and that's something that you already mentioned. What type of programs do you have in place to help your customers meet their safety needs?
Yeah, so we always going to prioritize our safety repairs first, and then kind of move to our drivability repairs second here for us. So we do have a couple of programs, internal and external here, that can help fund some of those safety repairs if clients are having issues with some of the funding here for them.
Awesome. Any clinics that you guys have for customers to be able to come in and get some immediate support?
Yeah, definitely. On Fridays, we run what we call an express service on Friday mornings here that there's no appointment necessary, and clients can come in and have fluid levels topped off, tire pressures corrected. We can also replace batteries and wiper blades here. A lot of times there's no charge here for any of that stuff here.
Awesome. Just really meeting those customers where they're at and supporting them.
Yeah, definitely. And because it is hard to get into our program at times here, we like to have that ability to serve somebody just on an afternoon with no appointment necessary here.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Nate. We appreciate you showing us the shop.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm here with Development Director Becca Tum and Program Director Johanna Smirsna. Welcome. Let's start with a really easy question for both of you. How long have you both worked here?
Oh, I'm grateful for an easy question. I've been with the Lift for 5 years. Actually, about 5.5. When I started, we had just a handful of technicians on staff, maybe one advisor, and I think a full-time volunteer. It was just a couple months after I started that we moved into this location, and it feels like growth just started from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
I've been on staff for nearly 3 years, but I also was a founding board member about 12 years ago. I was working in at a shelter and then also a car dealership. I have a background in the service industry of a car dealership before getting my master's in social work and working in housing and homelessness and fundraising. And so I've been in that for 12 years. And so I have founding experience as well.
Yeah. So you both have, a significant amount of time here, enough to see some really substantial change. Becca, kind of starting with you, can you walk me through some of the most impactful changes you've seen here over the last, 10 to 12 years now?
Yeah, I think that some of the interesting things are we knew the need of car repair. But I think that there are things on the edge of car repair that we didn't quite anticipate when we first started. So one of those examples would be that when a customer comes in with a vehicle that we suggest not repairing due to age and miles, and they don't have another vehicle or an option for another vehicle, we never had an answer to what do I do when you tell me my vehicle's not worth repairing? And so we've kept getting that nearly every day, at least once a week. We would have to say, like, we don't have an answer. So like finding that there are just these other pieces to car repair that we are now finding solutions to. And one of those solutions is with the help of AmFam. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Becca. Johanna, so kind of thinking along those same lines, like, yes, we talk about auto repair a lot in this work, and that's the core of it. But there's a lot more than that. And you really think about the whole person and some of their needs. Can you talk about some of those programs that you have to help people beyond just auto repair?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is kind of my favorite part. I like people a little bit more than cars. We're working really hard to meet clients where they're at when they walk through our door. And so I would say most often, day to day, the way that we're showing up with people looks like a listening ear, a friendly hello, a cup or two of coffee. We really try to just hold space for our clients, and in doing so, we learn a lot about what's going on with their lives. So we know that, the customer that drives the Toyota just got into housing and is about to get a new job. And we know that the customer who brought the Ford Fiesta back is using their car to get their kid to and from school. So like we end up learning so much more about clients than just the car that they drive. And as Becca mentioned, we realized that there are like really legitimate needs that we actually can have a place in helping people. So over the last couple of years, we have like formalized a few programs to make sure that that support network is like streamless. It may seem obvious that when a car is getting fixed, you don't have a car, but we weren't helping people with that. And so in the last couple of years, we have decided to allocate funding to give people a complimentary Uber ride when they drop off or when they need to pick up, whatever's most convenient. Mm-hmm. We're also learning from our clients that because of the impacts of poverty, there are times that the car that we're fixing is that person's primary shelter. Oh, yeah. And that's really, really hard when that car needs 8, 10, 12, 15 hours of labor time. And so we have the ability to not just get someone a hotel room for that night, but to make sure that they have safe transportation to that hotel room, safe transportation back. And it's really just elevating that level of dignity for that person as well.
So much more than an auto repair shop. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Becca, you and I have been, over the last few years, have been trying to really track, are there other nonprofit auto repair shops in the country? And we both know that the list we found is, few and far in between. For people listening today and really hearing about this work, any advice for them in if they want to bring this type of work to their own community or other service-based nonprofits?
Yes, I would welcome them. So as we found, we cannot meet the demand, and we are only in Minnesota. So we need more of this, and we are trying to grow and trying to find how we can meet the needs of as many people as possible, but we're still, our mission actually says Minnesota, so we had to put the confines somewhere, and we just chose Minnesota. Can you get your car to us? Just this week, I have had a phone call from someone in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Ohio, saying they heard about us and they want to start a place similar to ours. And I always entertain those conversations. Yes, please come along. We need more car repair, affordable car repair. And sadly, sometimes I think that they get a little stuck because it's hard and takes a lot of work, and it doesn't come as easily as we might hope it would. So we're always willing to offer those resources, and we get enough calls, like I said, just this week, where we even have a web page on our website telling people these are the things that we had to think about. Please think about these. We'll send you more resources if you reach out. So I would welcome more car repair.
Yeah, no, and we heard Kathy earlier in this conversation share a little bit about the origins of the Lift Garage, and that was just the tip of the iceberg and what went into building this place into what it is today. So, well, I think there's a question. 10 years is a really, really amazing thing, but we know that we don't want this to be 10 years. We want to know, what's next for the next 10 years? What do you both see as what's next for the Lift?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question, and an exciting question. I mean, we spend a lot of time, Becca and I, our whole leadership team, I mean, even our staff, our technicians are wondering, are we going to grow? We've got people that need their cars fixed. And I'd say we spend a lot of time asking that question of what does growth look like? How can it be sustainable? How can we remain nimble to meet the needs as they unfold? And it's been exciting to explore, like, who else wants to help us grow? That's where it's been really fun to collaborate and innovate and find that maybe if we don't know of the resource, we can make it together. And you have been such a fun partner in exploring and kind of pushing those boundaries with us.
Awesome.
What do you think, Becca?
I agree that the next 10 years I am seeing growth, like doubling down on what we are good at, which is we fix cars and make them safe. And how can we help in these other areas of what do we do if we say your car is never going to be safe again? Do not fix it. We cannot do this. And we're seeing that a lot more. And like right now, the average age of the vehicles we see is about 16 years old. And pre-pandemic, it was about 14. And nationally, that number has gone up, but ours has gone up more significantly. So right now, nationally, it's 12.5 years old, and it's the oldest it's ever been for the United States. Ours are about 16. So our customers are that like next level where they're holding on to cars longer than this is a statement that should be more nuanced, but longer than they should. Yeah. Many are having to make a hard decision about they can't afford a new car. Average cost of a new car is $48,000 right now. Yeah. They can barely afford a $500 car repair. So they're investing in the cars that they have already and keeping them longer, and maybe having to make that decision between, do I drive my child to school with unsafe brakes, but I can't fix the brakes, but this is the only way to do it. So I would really like to see us doubling down more on that, in addition to how can we help in those other ways? Mm-hmm. How can we help with hotel funds? How can we help get you in a reliable car when your vehicle is no longer safe to drive? So yeah, growth. That would be the goal in the next 10 years.
Awesome. Well, Becca, Johanna, I am eternally grateful both for your friendship and all the work that you guys do for the Lift and in this community. Finally, let's go out and let's hear from a few of our community members and the impact that the Lift has on them. Hi, I'm here with community member Heather. Heather's agreed to share a little bit about her experiences with the Lift with us today. Heather, can you first tell us how you first learned about the Lift?
A friend of mine told me about the Lift when my car was broke down.
And you're looking for affordable auto repair at the time.
Yeah. I had a really hard time trying to find a place that I could actually afford.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you felt when you found out there was a place like the Lift that was going to offer you an opportunity for affordable, reliable auto repair?
The very first thing was just freedom. The relief that I felt inside, knowing that I could come here and get my vehicle fixed at a cost that I could afford. Absolute freedom.
Awesome. And so
Yeah.
that freedom lets you do things in your day to day that you weren't doing before. What
Yep.
type of things have you been doing since you've been able to get your vehicle repaired?
I volunteer for a few organizations, and
Awesome.
so it's allowed me to really do that. Prior to having a reliable vehicle, like it was very limited on what I could do,
Yeah.
And now I get to do lots of different things, and I just absolutely love that.
Awesome. Awesome. When you think about having a place like the Lift here in your community, can you tell us what that means to community members?
I think, just like it did for me, it offered me a lot of relief and freedom. And I think that it does that for the whole community in a sense. I mean, people get to go to work when they couldn't go to work before, or, they get to do things in their daily lives that they just couldn't do
Yeah.
before. And so I would say, just the freedom part of it is huge.
Yeah, gives you a lot of hope and freedom all at the same time.
Yeah, and to just be able to be comfortable knowing that your vehicle is safe, like the Lyft is very trustworthy. I absolutely trust having my vehicle done here. I know they're being honest with me, and and that's what I tell people when I tell people about the Lyft.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, they're building a greater community around you while supporting your vehicles. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
amazing. Well,
Yeah.
Heather, thank you so much for sharing your experience
Yeah,
with us
of
today.
course.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
On behalf of American Family Insurance, I want to thank the Lyft Garage for allowing us to come in and learn more about their work and their community. I also want to share my thanks with all of you for coming along and learning about their work as well. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Live Garage, for all that you do to impact and inspire your community. At American Family Insurance Dream Bank, we truly believe in the power of dreams and celebrate that our community is made up of fearless dreamers. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Don't forget to follow us on social media, including LinkedIn, to be sure you're in the know on DreamBank's upcoming offerings, including our signature program experiences. We look forward to continuing to learn, grow, and dream alongside you. On behalf of American Family Insurance and my entire team at DreamBank, we look forward to hosting you again soon. Keep dreaming fearlessly.